The blues ain't nothing but a low-down aching chill. That's what the old-timers say. I, on the other hand, think of blues and my relationship with blues all of my adult life as the warmest fire I know. I was lucky enough to meet some people who play blues, or played blues, and well, came over to America from Scotland to meet them, and who would have known when I was over there that 50 years later I would not only be listening to blues but also playing the blues on the radio, presenting it really, and trying to keep the blues alive, the flame. In September of 1974, I went over to Houston, went all around, but I ended up in Houston, and I knocked on the door of Lightning Hopkins. I know most of you can't see the picture, but it's just a man in the picture. And he opened the door, and he let me come in. It's a tiny apartment in Houston, the 3rd Ward. And he and his wife talked to me for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just about everything and nothing, and we joked away. They had my letter up on the mantelpiece that I'd written a few months before. That was an experience that really affected me. He said he would play for me, but not then. He said, I'll take you to Austin, and I've got 2 nights in concert there. So I saw him just about every day. I was staying in a little hotel room at the William Penn Hotel, which soon after that got demolished. The cockroaches were larger than the room. They were everywhere. But it didn't really matter. I was in heaven, blues heaven. And I saw him every few days, every couple of days, and then 2 days or whatever. And he engaged with me, he introduced me to people, and so on, down there in the 3rd Ward, with a lot of little wooden houses and his apartment building. On the Friday, when it rolled around, we went together in his large car, driven by the bass player, by the way, and we went from Houston to Austin, to a little, very crowded club. Now, on the way, he always spoke, he spoke to me almost exclusively, and the bass player, but basically he was engaging me because I was sort of the guest. And he joked, he spoke in rhyme sometimes, which was wonderful. He could just turn it on. He was a true lyricist. He wrote hundreds and hundreds of songs, and they're all wonderful, well phrased, as well as rhyming and all that stuff. Anyway, he's a wonderful man, and he also asked me about my life, Scotland, South Africa, etc. He was interested, you know, reciprocally. Well, the concert was great that first night, the Friday, and in between, there were 2 sets. In between, there was an intermission, and someone invited me backstage, and I got back there, and Lightning had me sit down on the sofa, and he handed me a can of beer. I was 19, by the way. It was illegal. I loved it. And he said to everyone, hey, everybody, this is Laurence. Laurence came all the way from Scotland to see me. He never asks me for anything, and I love him for it. That night was great, and then the following night was similar musically, so to speak, and after that, they put me on the Greyhound bus, Lightning and the bass player and the bass player's wife, and Lightning finally gave me his autograph. I got something from him, and I was on my merry way. But I had no idea that I would always look back on that as a really great time. You value things more sometimes when you look back and you mull over them. Well, in my, okay, I also met some other blues singers, both on that trip and other ones, and I'm not going to not drop too many names, but Muddy Waters, Howling Wolf, Otis Rush, Hound Dog Taylor, and they all spoke with me. These weren't large concert halls, they were just little clubs, and you could talk to them, and they were so engaging and always interested in me as well as, you know, the other way around. Obviously, I was fascinated with them. And, well, about 2.5 years ago, I started being a DJ. And as a DJ, I'm able to keep this music alive, in part, do my little part. Just a little keeper of the flame, so to speak. And I play all this music for 2 hours at 6 o'clock on Mondays with this little radio station called KNON. They're a community radio. There's not many of them left, and it's a real treasure here in Dallas because we play whatever we want. No one tells us what to do or what to play. No corporation, no board. We do have a board, but they don't tell us what to do. The people we listen to are our listeners, our community really, and the music itself. And we play this music, and I just feel that we are somehow, and along with other DJs and other people, keeping this music alive, because it is a very small segment of the music market, but the DNA in blues is in all these other forms of music, rock and roll, hip hop, you know, jazz and rock and so on, rock and roll. They all share some DNA, so that blues is very important. So, if you're ever driving around Dallas, feeling like, well, a burden on your shoulders, a little low, turn on your car radio. Tune over to 83.9. Actually, it's 89.3. That might be very good too, I don't know. 89.3 FM on the radio dial here in Dallas. And these singers may well, the blues singers that I'm playing, or the other DJs are playing, may very well excite you and make you feel better. So the more we spin the records, the more we keep this music alive. Mr. Toastmaster.